I've been a full-time artist for the past 10 years, but if I were to start my art business over, this is what I would do. First thing is, I'm going to assume that I was a hobby artist prior to this, so I have some level of artistic skill and some level of inventory of pieces that I've created prior to starting this business, because that's how it was for me when I started my business 10 years ago. I had been an artist for 10 or 15 years prior to that, just as a hobby, trying to get my business off the ground, and it never worked for a really long time. So I'm making this video hoping that what I share here will help you get your business going a lot quicker than it took me. I would start thinking about how I could monetize my work. I'd start thinking about the intersection between the things I like to create and the things that I know I can sell. And if you don't know what you can sell, because a lot of times when you're starting your art business, you have no idea what's going to sell, you have to start thinking about test marketing. And so that's what I would do right away, is figure out a place that I could go in my local area and set up just a simple table and sell some of my artwork. These types of shows happen often, and you can probably find them like in Facebook event listings, your local newspaper event listings, online listings in your area for things to do. Just look in places like that, or even follow other artists, ask around to see if they know of something coming up. But the idea here is to find an event, I mean, even a farmer's market, something that is very cheap for you to buy a booth in, like 50 bucks or less, hopefully, and where you can take some of the work that you've created as your hobby and try to sell it to people. And even if you don't sell anything at these first couple of shows that you do, that you're test marketing at, the goal is just to put out feelers in the community of buyers who are directly around you and see what they like, see what they react to. But if they purchase something, then you know, okay, I should make more things like that. Because if these are pieces that you created that you had a passion about, and then you have proof that they are selling, that is proof of concept. And that's how you start to take your business to the next level quicker. Because ultimately, right, if you want to sell your work, you want to monetize it, you need to have something that people want to buy. I mean, this is just like the most basic level. Then once you have that, you need to figure out how to take that thing that you know how to make, that people want to buy, make a whole lot more of it, that's very and more interesting, and maybe even hits the mark better than those first pieces that you created, and then figure out how to take that to market at an even bigger scale. And so first things first, making a cohesive body of work. Once I figured out which of my artworks sell really well, I would go into that deep, and I would make 20 or 30 pieces exploring that concept. So for example, when I first started out doing art fairs, I had all sorts of different pieces at them. I had some digital fractal art, some surrealism landscape, kind of weird landscape paintings, and then some animal art. And what I found out right away after my first show is that people were drawn to my animal paintings more than any of the rest of my work. And so what I did was I made a lot more animal paintings after that. It was obvious, hey, if this sells, I'm going to make more of it because I need to make money. I need to pay my bills. And so that's what I would do at this stage of my art business. I would make as much work as I could, up to 20 or 30 pieces, and try to improve my skill level. At the same time, I would keep doing these really small local shows and taking the new pieces that I'm making to them and continuing to test market, see what people say. Are they attracted to them? Do they purchase? Even if they don't purchase, why did they not? And then maybe that will help me evolve my style into a slightly different direction so that I can make sure more people purchase. Now, while I am doing all of that, I would also be documenting what I create on video, especially vertical video. And here's why. All of the social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, they all take vertical video. And right now, especially in 2025, they are going to be continuing to push vertical video as one of the best ways to get people to see what you're creating and get them to follow you on social media. Now, I'm not suggesting to waste exorbitant amounts of time posting to social media every single day. What you need to be focusing on, especially at the first part of your career, is creating amazing work. So that way you can figure out what's going to sell, because that's really what makes you money. But I would suggest documenting what you create and making a couple of posts on each of those social media networks every week. Not every single day on every single network, because that's just too much for anybody to undertake when you're first starting out. But a couple of posts a week on each one is perfect. And you can use the same vertical video that you create for TikTok TikTok and upload it to all of the other sites. So just create a couple of small 15-second clips or 30-second clips of you painting or creating, if you're sculpting, of you sculpting, or maybe a reveal of your artwork being finished. Create those, upload those to your social media a couple times a week. Don't waste huge amounts of time editing them. Just use the on-app features where you can just add some music real quick. Don't spend a lot of time on this. Just put something up there and document. So this way, when people find you online, they might want to start following you, and one day you might be able to sell your artwork to them. But I wouldn't go into 2025 thinking that I'm going to be a completely online-based artist and that I'm going to be able to profit from that, because I don't think that's realistic anymore. Now, some people might disagree with that, but the internet landscape is so cluttered with AI art, and there's so much competition on marketplaces like Etsy and eBay and everywhere, really, even social media. I mean, everything is so cluttered with all of this AI art that isn't even real art, you know? But the thing is, it's everywhere. And so this is why I think focusing on video for a social media strategy is so important, because if you are a creator, a handmade artist, you're actually making your work. You can put that on video, you can document it. That is proof that you are a real person creating these things, that you're not just creating something with AI and sticking it up there and trying to scam people out of their money by using print on demand to make a whole bunch of products. And that's why I think it's so important. If I were starting out my business in 2025, I wouldn't be focusing on selling online. I'd be focusing on selling in person, because people want that personal connection with the artist. And it is so much easier to sell in person because you're not having to battle between what they're thinking might be AI and what is real, and prove that you're a real artist and all of this stuff. They see you in person, they can tell it's handmade. You are one step ahead of all of the game on the internet, because you don't have to compete with people from all over the world to get views. You're right there in person. People would so much rather purchase art from someone in person, an artist they can meet, than somebody across the world on the internet. And so that's why I think starting my strategy, if I were to do this in 2025, I would focus hard on in-person sales. And next, what I would do once I had this body of work of 20 or 30 pieces, let's say it'd be like about 9 or 10 months into the year, because it's going to take time to create that much really good work, I would start applying to more fine art fairs using a website called Zapplication. I've linked it below. I've also linked all sorts of other resources down there about how to start an art fair booth, how to get the supplies you need on the cheap, and everything like that. So if you're looking to do this and you don't know where to start, look in the description area. But the thing is, what I would do is I would apply to these much bigger shows than I was doing in my small local area, shows that would cost more money and there's more on investment. But I would know that I would be likely to sell at them because I would have been test marketing and practicing selling my work for this whole year so far in these small local shows that were very affordable. So I would have like very little risk of losing too much money. But then by the end of the year, I would hope that I would be getting accepted into some of these bigger shows. So that way next year in 2026, I could start doing those shows and making real money. And what I mean by real money is that some of the shows I do, I make $10,000 of sales at. So this is real money. It's life-changing, and you can support yourself off of it as an artist. But I would like to caution you, when you first start out your art business, you're not going to be making $10,000 at one of these really good fine art fairs. You're probably going to make more like $1,500 or $2,000 on your first few shows. That's because you have to learn what you're doing. At the end of the year, if you have extra time and you do have a social media following built up from all of the posts that you've been making during the year, I would set up some sort of website or maybe an Etsy shop, something that you could help try to bring in some income for yourself online. I would just start dipping my toes into the online selling world is basically what I'm trying to say. Because as you know, Christmas time is pretty much the best time of year to sell anything. People are looking for gifts. And if you create custom pieces, I would start sharing posts about those and everything like that at the end of the year. But I wouldn't spend huge amounts of time focusing on trying to make 100% of my income from selling online, because it's probably not going to happen. I'd spend a lot more time focusing on selling work in person. There are a whole lot of things to juggle and get right when it comes to doing art fairs. I mean, you need a body of work that's going to sell, but you also have to know how to talk to customers, how to set up your booth in a way that's inviting and enticing for customers to come in. And I've created an entire playlist on this, how to do art fairs, everything you need to know. You can watch it here. It's all free resources. All right, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.